an ancient story of a student who went to the master and said, I pray, I study, I meditate, do daily rituals, and even fast a little. I live in peace with others. Teacher, what more can I do? The master rose, lifted his hands, and stretched his fingers out towards the heavens, when suddenly they became like 10 lamps of fire. And then he said, you can become all flame. Welcome, I am Jareth Tempest, mystic, magician, psychonaut, astronaut, hierophant, all-around seeker of truth, author, full-time weirdo, and host of this show where we talk about mysticism, the mystical journey, and all that's magical in the universe. Everything from spirits to spirituality, while I take you on a magical mystery tour through the inner worlds, and hopefully inspire you to take the next step so you can become all flame. Alright, well, welcome to the show. I'm coming to you from Reno, Nevada now. We finally finished our big move, and it has been something special. But yeah, we finally got here, and I've got my office set up. It's Tuesday night, so Patreon's not going to get this very early, unfortunately, but I'm doing the best I can. You know, we're getting here and getting going. This has been, frankly, it's been a hell of a month. We were in Fort Worth, Texas, and we moved to Reno, Nevada. So that's a big move. I'll have to tell the full story later. There was a lot of magical stuff going on during this move. It kind of, as we were getting ready to, it like unlocked a lot of magic that had been done, but then we'd kind of gotten into a rut, you might think, and then it was like this chaotic explosion of magic happened, and it was just a chaotic mess. And I mean, it was wonderful. We had some amazing things happen, some truly life-changing magic, and the overall outcome has been great, but we're exhausted. It's been a long a few weeks, but we're here, starting to get settled back down, and so things will start getting back to normal, and I'll start getting new attunements out on a more regular basis again, and we'll get that 42 letter name of God attunement out soon, and fortune. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to work on any of that while during the move. Everything was just too hectic and chaotic. I didn't want to add to it by getting these massive, powerful attunements in the middle of all of that. That would just have been not cool. And you might tell my voice is a little hoarse. I got a little sick during all of this it's like just as we were about to start getting ready, a big storm blew in, and it blew in all this pollen, and so my allergies got all bad. And then we're going through and getting all the dust, and so I'm getting better, but it's been a long month, as I was saying. So what I wanted to talk about today, we're going to start talking about the Holy Guardian Angel. The next few weeks, we're going to talk about, different aspects of it. But, especially because of everything that's just happened and stuff, I don't have the energy to go in depth into it right now. So I'm going to break with what we've been doing and try something new, which is I want to talk about a movie. I want to be able to do this every now and then, just, take a break from everything we've been talking about, all the really heavy stuff, and let's talk about something that's going on in the movies and stuff. Now, the movie I want to talk about, a lot of occultists have actually already talked about it. The movie's called A Dark Song. It was written and directed by Liam Gavin. I don't know anything about this guy. It's very rare to find a movie that actually kind of gets it right. Not that they got the ritual right or anything, but it got the kind of the feel of a long occult working. So that's what I wanted to kind of talk about, was this movie. And so what they're doing in this movie is the Abramelin rite. At least that's what they're saying it is. for those of you who don't know, the Abramelin is the ritual to do if you want to contact your holy guardian angel, at least according to, you know, what the cool kids say. The Abramelin, in reality, is, there are two versions of it. There's a German translation and a French a translation from the French that Mathers did, and the French one is what we had for the longest time, and it was a 6-month ritual, whereas the German one is an 18-month ritual. And basically what it is you go and you isolate yourself, or we'll start over. What people think the Abramelin is. We'll start with what people think it is. They think it is that it's this long ritual where you have to completely isolate yourself, and then you go through all of these, fasting and purification rituals, and eventually you conjure up your holy guardian angel, and you're able to obtain what they call the knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel, and then you summon the devil and the different kings and dukes and princes of hell, and you bind them to you and get familiars from them, and that's kind of what people think the Abramelin is. And so this movie kind of takes what people think the Abramelin is and then dramatizes it extensively, and they change it up a bit. So what they have in the movie, and there's going to be spoilers for this movie, so if you haven't seen it, it's not so much what happens, it's kind of the journey. So I don't really feel like it's a movie you can spoil, but if you are sensitive to that, then might want to listen to this one. But so there's your warning for spoilers. But anyway, so with this, when the movie starts, the woman is buying the house. She's buying the special house and she's making sure that the rooms are facing the proper directions, because according to the rite, you're supposed to face certain directions at certain times, and find rooms that face certain ways, and so the layout of the house can be important. And this is reminiscent of Crowley famously did this, the Abramelin rite on Loch Ness at the Boleskine House, and so that's become a big kind of religious site for Thelemites. He didn't actually finish it, and then the house caught fire, I think, but I want to say that was it Page or Plant? One of the guys from Zeppelin bought the house for a while. But anyway, it's caught fire and it's been damaged, and but they're trying to rebuild the house now, which is good. That's a historical thing that it needs to be rebuilt and preserved. That's an important part of our magical history, even if you're not a Thelemiter, because I'm not. I don't, and Crowley is not my jam, but but it's still one of those important things that happen. It is important to a lot of people. But anyway, so you can kind of see some of the and Crowley is what kind of made the Abramelin popular again, and kind of made it the end-all be-all of magical practice. So anyway, so this woman is buying the house, and then it shows her she's meeting up with an occultist, and she's trying to pay him to do the ritual for her, which of course is ridiculous. You can't have somebody do the Abramelin for you. It's something you have to do yourself. That's the whole point of it. But you also can't have a movie with just one person in a house alone. There's got to be someone to talk to. And he's real kind of a nihilistic type who is over dramatic, and he's got a drinking problem. He goes through DTs at the beginning as part of his purification, and but he's a really interesting character. He's a fun character, and she's a very angry, dramatic person. They don't trust each other, and they're constantly accusing each other of lying and ripping them off, and because she's paying like $80,000 for him to do this or something, some insane amount of money. And so the point of the Abramelin in real life is to get this knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel. They change that in the movie into she's going to meet her holy guardian angel, and she's going to be able to ask a favor. She'll be able to ask for whatever she wants. And then so will he. So they'll both get, these, massive favors. And so to them, they're doing a little bit more like practical magic as opposed to, this, what Crowley kind of built up to be sort of the Western version of enlightenment. None of which is accurate. But it's a fun movie, and as much as as argumentative as I can be about magic and the occult, there's something really fun about this movie. And I mean, it is a horror movie. You're not going to find very many movies, that deal with the occult that aren't horror movies in some regard. But it's not it doesn't have a lot of jump scares. It just kind of builds tension throughout the movie. And as you see her go through these different extremes to complete this ritual. Again, the Abramelin is really kind of boring. You set up an altar and you prepare a certain kind of incense. You basically just go and you light this incense and you light candles on the altar and you say these different prayers and you do this. There's 3 sections that are just kind of progressively more intense. And in the 6th month one, it's 2 months for each section. And then the 18-month one, it's 6 months per section. But that's really the only difference between the 6 month and the 18-month is just how long you're spending doing it. And that's really all you're doing is you're just spending time alone praying. You're doing these purifications of fasting, and that gets more intense throughout the rite. And so, but again, it would be very boring to try to do it right. And so they make it where there's different circles, and you have to progress through the different circles, and they almost kind of do it as almost like the tree of life, only now one circle is this is the element of wood. I'm like, okay, you very seldom are going to deal with the element of wood. But yeah, it has stuff like that. And then there's a room, this is the death room, and he'd thrown a branch in there, and I guess this branch is going to dry up and represent death, and she has to break it. And then, and there's just these other things. There's one scene where she's supposed to be praying or doing these incantations or something while he's pouring cold water on her. And you can tell this has been going on for hours. And they're just, and you can see the seasons changing outside the windows, but everything, they just keep going and progressing on and kind of going deeper into this craziness. And you kind of imagine that's what it would be like to isolate like that, to do some big ritual, and that's what it really captures, and it gets the tension of, is this working? Is it worth it? And then obviously they have to dramatize it, and he adds a bit of sex magic to it that's not actually there, which is, and so obviously that creates drama when she finds out that he just kind of, well, they didn't actually have sex because that would have ruined the rite. It still, ruins whatever trust she has with him, as you would, and it just kind of shows he's not really reliable. And so, yeah, and she keeps lying to him about what this rite is actually for. Initially, she says it's for love. She wants make someone love her, and he just walks away. He's like, no, we're not doing the Abramelin for love. That's ridiculous. There's any number of easier things you can do for love. And so finally she's like, okay, my kid died. I want to hear my kid's voice again. So that's what they're working towards. And then later on, the big reveal is that she has been lying, and that her kid was kidnapped from his he was taken from his nursery school or whatever by some teenagers playing with the occult, and they sacrificed him to the devil or something. And she wants revenge. She wants them all to die horrible deaths, and that's the favor she really wants to ask. But she didn't tell him that, and so that creates more drama and tension, and to reset the rite, he's got to He says they're going to do like a purification bath, but he ends up drowning her in the bathtub and then resuscitating her because she had to touch the void or something. You know, it's just crazy where they go with it, but it's fun to watch. At a certain point, after he does that, her holy guardian angel starts to come at, you know, things really start to work, and they're constantly throwing dishes at each other and yelling at each other and stuff, and she does this and she pushes him, and like he gets stabbed with a knife, and he slowly starts to die because they can't leave the house. This is one of the things that they have made a big deal about, is that you can't leave the house. He surrounded it with salt, and if you try to leave, they're not going to let you. You have to finish the rite, and so they can't go get help or anything, and they just kind of keep going as he slowly gets sicker and sicker, and then he ends up dying. And she does leave the house, and she goes and she tries to leave, and then she walks and ends up coming right back to the house. It doesn't matter what direction she goes, she ends up coming back to the house, which of course is not realistic. You know, you can end a ritual and walk away, and you're not going to suddenly come back. But what is interesting, that and is very similar, is that if there is something you're supposed to do and you walk away from it, that event or a similar event will keep happening until you face it. And that's just a reality in dealing with the occult and these things, is that you've got to learn that lesson, and they're just going to keep putting that lesson in front of you until you face it and deal with it. And so, again, while this is an over-dramatized version of that thing, there's still something there to that. And it's like, you know, Crowley didn't finish doing the Abramelin, but he did obtain the knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel a different way, which is so weird why people think you have to do the Abramelin, because Crowley said you had to do the Abramelin, but then Crowley didn't do the Abramelin to reach that. So go figure. Don't listen to people. People, they never get their stories right. But yeah, and like, so the whole time in the movie, they're always doing these. He's got his little handwritten magic book that he writes, he reads from, and there's all these symbols that come from all different traditions. Every now and then you might catch something from the Goetia, or at one point he's like drawing symbols, painting symbols on her back, and one of them is the Chokuri from Reiki. So it's just got everything from Reiki to Goetia. And it's just, yeah, whoever did this, he knew enough to capture a certain reality to it. But it's not like you can't watch the movie and then try to duplicate it. It's just not going to work. And so whenever she does come back, you know, and so like I said, as she left the house, when she comes back to the house, if the house is all messed up, there's his body is there, and you can see like someone has smeared crap like on the walls and stuff, and she ends up confronting. The house is full of, they had mentioned earlier that you were going to have to face the damned. You're going to have to face demons and the damned, and I kind of tend to think that most of what you see, because mostly what you see are people, older looking people, and they're covered in like white powder, and it creates an eerie effect. Obviously the movie's kind of a low budget movie, so they couldn't do real crazy stuff, but I think that for the most part these are supposed to be the damned and not specifically demons. And I think there are a couple of them that are more demonic, and there's one you don't really even see, and he seems to have like a weapon, and then there's another one that doesn't have eyes and it's torturing her, and then there's a black dog sitting there kind of watching. Yeah, maybe he's the demon, or maybe he's the devil. Anyway, it's not real apparent who is what, but they catch her, and they start to torture her, and she tries to get away, and just when she's about to lose hope, you see this light from above, and they let her go, and she goes into the room where they do most of the work, and that's where you see this giant angel. And it looks pretty good. It's not the best, you know. It's a guy. It's obviously a guy in a costume, but they made him really big, and he's in like golden armor, and he looks good. It's fine. Whenever he speaks, like the earth quakes a bit, and only she can hear him though. Like we can't even hear his voice. We just see everything rattle. Been confronted with that glory and that terrifying righteousness of this angel. She and having just been tortured by demons and stuff, she gives up what she had been wanting and asks for the power to forgive, so that she can forgive the people who hurt her. And the angel smiles, and you see she's found peace, and she goes and she has like buries the magician Solomon. Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. His name is Solomon. And hers is Sophia. So kind of mixing our traditions there with the Gnostic Sophia, and then the more Hebrew Solomon. But yeah, it's all good. So yeah, anyway, she gives him like a water burial in the river, but that means she had to go back in that basement where all those demons were. So that's pretty brave. Anyway, yeah, it's like I said, it's a good movie, and it's really more. It kind of just captures the tension and the kind of crazy doubt that you would have when you're doing something that lasts that long, that is such a commitment. So now let's talk about the Abramelin for real and what it really is. As I've said, there's two versions, and both of them are more or less the same. It's just really how long you're going to do it for. And you can, if you're going to do it, you can pick which one you want to do. I would still get both books and study, because there are these magic squares, and that were part of. They're not actually a part of the rite. They're just part of the. They're just included in the book, but the newer German translation actually has them all, whereas the earlier one didn't. There's something wrong with the recipe for the incense in the Mather's translation. There's something's off. I can't remember what it is, but there's an ingredient that's wrong. So you definitely want to get both books, but you can still do a 6-month Abramelin and it would be fine. Because here's the real secret of the Abramelin I'm going to give you. The point of the Abramelin is, first off, it's not the end. So it's not something you're supposed to do at the end of your magical career. It's something you're supposed to do at the beginning. It's kind of in your passing from beginner to intermediate phase, kind of so you do it in your magical adolescence. The book was written, at least the way it's written, is a man is writing this for his son. So it's not necessarily supposed to be for anyone. Really, what it's for somebody who is not used to being alone and is not used to being introspective, and it is forcing you to be alone, and makes you have to talk to yourself, and it makes you do that for several months. Yeah, if you're already an introspective type person, then you don't need the Abramelin. Because the whole point of it is just to make you sit down and shut up long enough that you recognize all of the different voices in your head and know what's coming from you and know what's not coming from you. And then that is the key right there to the knowledge and conversation of a Holy Guardian Angel. Your Holy Guardian Angel is with you right now. They're speaking to you right now. It's just a matter of being able to hear that voice. And that's what the Abramelin ritual is all about. It's about getting you to the point where you're alone and there's nothing to distract you. And so you have to deal with the voices in your head, and just getting to know yourself and to know what comes from you, so that when something, comes from outside of you, you'll recognize it. And so you don't, if you have the slightest bit of the ability to self-reflect and to do it and to know yourself, then you don't need something like the Abramelin. You just need maybe some time alone every day to kind of spend time listening to yourself, talking to yourself, and praying to your angel, and ask them to reveal themselves to you. Yeah, it's really pretty easy if you already know how to sit down and be quiet and listen to yourself. It's not hard at all to reach this knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel. It isn't the sudden enlightenment or anything. You don't suddenly gain significant like magical powers, and it's not enlightenment or anything like that. Typically what happens whenever you begin to talk to your angel, and it's not really an angel. We'll talk about more of what it really is later, and next week. But what happens is that as you begin to talk to it, you just begin to connect dots. Certain things that you just didn't, you might have known. It turns from knowledge to understanding, and the difference there is like, I don't know. Sometimes you can intellectually understand something or know it, but then something happens and like you're like, oh, now I get it. And a lot of things like that will start happening to you, magically speaking. It's like you'll have known a certain magical concept, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh no, now I really get it, and you understand it on a deep, down in your bones type level. And that's the kind of thing that will happen more and more. And really, I personally find people who have just obtained knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel to be obnoxious, because they are suddenly super high with all of this information that they're getting, and they feel like they know everything, and they just have to tell everyone everything. And yeah, a lot of it's great, but a lot of it's stuff that us older people, we know. And it reminds me of that meme it's from The Good Place, and the guy's like, I just saw layers and layers of time all in a blade, and the guy's like, yeah, the time knife. We've all seen that. I want to share that meme every single time I hear one of these people who've just had these mind-blowing experiences, and they are. And this just comes from being older and more experienced, and the Catholics have a joke of new converts shouldn't be allowed to speak for 2 years, kind of for the same reason. I feel that should be the same with the Holy Guardian Angel. You don't get to talk for 2 years till you've had it feels like downloads, just downloads of information. Anyway, yeah, it can make you a little bit of obnoxious, but we all do it. We all go through it. I'm sure I did it. I know I did it, but I was in prison. I didn't realize at the time that I had achieved this. I didn't know. I just was talking to my guardian angel. And then later on, when I found out about the Holy Guardian Angel, I'm like, well, are you my Holy Guardian Angel? And they were like, yeah, I'm your guardian angel. I'm like, no, but are you my Holy Guardian Angel? Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but I don't think you're really understanding, are you? And, once I finally realized, because the problem with the Holy Guardian Angel is that it's built up so much. You expect it to be, fireworks and everything, and like I said, like enlightenment, and it's like, and that's not really how it works. You're going to have these, and even these information downloads I'm talking about are going to be more subtle. Certain people get it more than others too, but it has other benefits as well. Your angel is going to act as a go-between between you and any other spirit you deal with, and so it's going to kind of, you're not going to have to worry about as much about like meeting a trickster spirit or a parasite. Your guardian angels are going to sort that out before you get there. So whenever you do a ritual, you're going to know that you're going to get to the spirit that you want to get to. And they handle a lot of your magic stuff for you behind the scenes. So it makes you seem like you're way cooler than you are. But like when I'm doing the attunement stuff, I know that I'm not doing most of the work. It's the spirit I'm working with and my Holy Guardian Angel and higher self. They're all getting together, and they're the one. And with the person I'm sending the attunement to, they got their Holy Guardian Angel and everything, and they're the ones doing all the work. And that's why I don't need your picture and your date of birth and all that. Like, they know all that stuff. They got it covered. So yeah, and it's not because I'm special. It's because I just trust how it works. And that's really one of the best things, is like it's that layer of protection that you end up getting. Now, it's not perfect protection. It doesn't mean somebody can't curse you or something. It's just And they will still absolutely let you do something stupid and make mistakes and get yourself hurt. But, you know, that's kind of the learning experience. We'll talk more about what it is and how it works next week. But what I did want to talk about though was and how there really are different ways. You don't have to do the Abramelin. Damon Brand has a book called Magical Destiny, and I'm going to, on my YouTube channel, do a walkthrough of that book as part of this Holy Guardian Angel thing I'm doing. And so we'll talk about that book, which is another method. I don't know if anyone has necessarily found made contact with their Holy Guardian Angel yet. That might be something I'll ask around before doing that. But yeah, check out the YouTube channel for that sometime next week. Yeah, and then if you go to my my website, if you go way back towards the very beginning, just keep scrolling to some of the earlier posts. I have several posts about the Holy Guardian Angel, and I have a method that I came up with myself there that uses the rosary, and I just wrote some different prayers that you can do on the rosary beads to your Holy Guardian Angel. It's not necessarily any particular religion or anything. It's just, but you can take that concept, write your own prayers. It's, again, of anything you do, is just, what you need to do is just try to be quiet and learn to listen, and then just ask it to speak to you, and you keep asking, and eventually you'll hear it. You'll recognize its voice, and then then you're off to the races. It's cool. So for the practical bit here today, this is going to be really simple, and I want you all to do it. If you haven't already reached conversation with your Holy Guardian Angel, this is the beginnings of it right here. This was taught to me by a Franciscan. I did it, and it worked for me, and it worked for a lot of people. And what you do is before you go to bed, right before you go to bed, you say a little prayer to your angel. Oh, Holy Guardian Angel, come to me this night and reveal your name to me. And then, yeah, and you don't even have to do it like that. Just whatever. Just ask for your Holy Guardian Angel to reveal its name right before, as you lay down and go to sleep. And then when you wake up, you're going to have a name in your head. And write that name down, whatever it is. People have gotten different results. And this is, just keep in mind, this is not the angel's true name. It's not going to be, it may not sound like an angel name to you. It's not going to be in Hebrew or Enochian or whatever. One guy, the name he got was Bob. But, it worked for him, and he was able to talk to Bob, and Bob helped him, and Bob did amazing things with that guy. And so yeah, just whatever name, it's just the name that you're going to have to work with. My name did sound like an angel. It had the IEL at the end and everything. But, you might get Bob, and it's fine. Now, this is not foolproof. You might end up getting a different guardian. We all have several guardians. We have ancestral guardians. We have spirit guides. But it's a place to start, and you'll get a sense. And that's one of the main things you just really have to do with all magic. You just got to start trusting your intuition. If you wake up and you have a name and it feels right to you, just go with it. And I don't care if it's Bob or whatever. It's just trust it. And then next week I'll start telling you what you can do with that name, and what you can do to help start making contact. And we'll talk about some different things, and keep an eye on that YouTube channel. I'll talk about the book, and yeah, next week we'll see what the spirits have to say about this topic. And I'm gonna go take some cold medicine, see if I can't get this edited and get this out tonight. And thank you all for spending time with me, and it's great to be back, and I will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.